New World Order, you underestimated the people. You took a gamble and you lost.
Okay, we don't like this. Okay, well then we're going to do this. And that is just how it's going to be.
Evidence brought to light that there is a corrupt officer, or that that officer did shoot that kid on purpose.
I don't care how I look, I don't care how I sound, I don't care what the beat is. I just care the message gets across.
It looks like John Connor is going to come out and obviously give a few tips and pointers, because we got some people taking on some serious operations, and with these serious operations they must be approached with a particular level of intelligence. If not, all of the good works that you guys are trying to pay forward are going to crumble right beneath you. What operations have grown to such magnitude that have required a particular level of seriousness and precaution? Not only but the pedo hunters. Ladies and gentlemen, pedo hunters and creep catchers in Canada. You guys have taken on the virtuous mission. Nothing wrong with your mission. But there is something wrong with the way you may be starting to handle your mission. I've been watching a couple of videos, and so far you've been lucky. You've been lucky. You need to understand something, okay? When you pose to be a 14-year-old girl online to try and catch one of these people, which is courageous in itself. Some people won't think of it that way at first. Hopefully by the end of this video they'll understand. And hopefully you, at the end of this video, will act and react a little bit safer in the future, okay? So what my concerns are is that you're going to pose to be a 14-year-old little girl, which is awesome, because that's how you catch these sons of bitches, okay? So you do that. And then you get them. I saw that last video there. I was watching a video. You guys had them cornered. I heard it in the video. There was no other exits in this building. Get in, we're calling the cops. Excellent, excellent. That is called a citizen's arrest. As long as you have the evidence on hand to provide to the police upon arrival, then yes, you are appropriately executing a citizen's arrest. There's something that the police have that you don't. Guns. You guys have to be careful. Let's not lie to ourselves. If you got the real deal at the end of your hook, I'm going to tell you, I used to train in martial arts, and there's a lot of 14-year-old girls in martial arts when I was a young man that knew how to handle their shit. So, these fucking predators, they are not that stupid either. What has happened thus far is that you guys have picked up stupid ones. But one of these days, you're going to come across somebody that has a fucking rape kit. And one of the primary things in a rape kit is a weapon. There could be 4 of you guys there ready to confront the person, but there's 8 bullets in a gun. So you guys got nothing on this person. Now we got 4 or 5 dead Canada creep catchers or pedo hunters, and we got now what was just a pedophile and a rapist now is a murderer on a large scale. This is a crime. Pedophilia is a crime, such as everything else that we understand to be a crime. And on the highest levels of any crime that you find out there, what else will you find? Weapons and drugs. You have to be careful. You get somebody coming in here all hopped up on some nonsense thinking you're a 14-year-old girl, thinking he's going to have a grand old time tying you up and this and that and that and this, and he's already hot and heavy before he gets there and realizes he's fucked and he's got a gun. This may not go good. This big fucking problem. Okay, guys? So, I'm not bashing the mission, nor am I bashing the operations. I'm only adding a little bit of insight to the true and honest danger that you guys face when you choose to do these things. It is one of the reasons why vigilante justice is illegal in Canada. Vigilante justice happens very rapidly, happens normally by a small group of people, sometimes just one person, and unfortunately, like any forms of justice, there can be collateral damage. This is why you don't see police officers pulling their guns out when there's too many people around right away. They try to see, okay, can we get these people out of the way? Can we give them the 10 seconds they need to run? Because as soon as I go for my gun, the person in front of me is probably going to try and kill me with his gun. And in the process, I have all these civilians around me. In the Vigilante Justice Department, civilians are collateral damage. Now, I've spoke of Justin Bork in the past and this and that, and that's what Bork was. He was a vigilante justice guy. Okay? He wasn't a terrorist, and he wasn't a crazy man. Why? Because terrorists blow shit up and kill a bunch of innocent people, and crazy men, when they run through the parking lot of Walmart, they don't put their guns down, they shoot up everything around them. So, for instance, he was a vigilante person. So he had to run around the city with guns. What was his cause? His cause was simple. His cousin got shot by cops, and cops walked free without any true and honest repercussions. Didn't sit well with them, so he shot a few cops. Was it good? No. Was it right? No. Do I understand why he did it? Yeah. I get it. Somebody shoots my cousin and walks free, cop or not, they're going to be in the ground. They're going to be picking turnips from a stepladder. That's not unrealistic. I'm still a human being with a heart and soul and feelings. You shoot one of my friends and one of my family, and you walk scot-free. Fucking right, I'll do 25 years in jail. But you'll be in a hole. It's a no-brainer. Okay? That's what vigilante justice is. What is, if you can't do the crime, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. It's probably the worst thing you could ever teach somebody. What happens when the person says, this is the crime I have to commit, and this is how much time I'm going to do in jail? Ah, fuck it. I need 3 months of rest and relaxation anyway. Okay, let's do it. It's only going to be about 3 months. If you can tailor make the crime attached to the sentence, and you agree with the sentence they're going to give you, go ahead. Go and commit the crime. That's what this country is. We should always be law-abiding citizens, don't get me wrong. But if you have enough intelligence to say, yeah, I am prepared to do the time behind this crime, then yeah, do it. You know, when you got a bunch of people that burn down a drug dealer's house or burn down a pedophile's house, that's a form of vigilante justice. But that's an arson charge. When they're caught, these people have already decided, if I'm caught and go to jail for arson, that's time that I'm prepared to serve. That is what makes these kinds of people dangerous. Not dangerous to me or you. We're not pedophiles. They become dangerous to themselves and to the rest of society when they take it upon themselves to do these things. But just like any form of vigilante justice, there's always a reason. That's the difference between law, vigilante justice, and terrorism. Okay? Terrorism is to commit a violent act in order to persuade or to force a government to bend to your will. That's terrorism. Okay? The law is, if you do this, you will get this as a punishment. Vigilante justice is an appropriate marriage of the two. Vigilante justice says, I'm not going to go and scare my government into doing what I want it to do. That's just wrong. And I am going to allow the justice system to do what it needs to do. Vigilante justice only comes into play, in my books, anyway, only comes into play once the judicial matter has failed. Everything the courts could do and have done is still not enough. That is when we find the emotions attached to vigilante justice. So, what is the Canadian cause for such a form of vigilante justice? Because we're dealing about pedophiles, right? Most of us don't want that around our families, right? We know that there's other countries in the world that have sexual predator registrations. There's a list. There's lists for everything these days, but there's a list for these guys. I call it a rather legitimate list. In Canada, we have a sexual offenders registry. We do. Well, at least we have that. But it's not public domain, ladies and gentlemen. You will never know if your neighbor is a pedophile. They must register to the province and register federally as a sexual offender, and they have to give all of their information. The sexual offenders registry is exactly how you want it to be done, except you're not allowed to read it, and that's not cool. But I'm telling you, the way the registry is made, these guys don't have very much room to squeak. They can't even fart without people knowing. But this registry is not made to the public. This small little concept is what has gotten under the Canadian person's skin. What do you mean I can't know? What? The government belongs to me. It belongs to you. It belongs to every Canadian citizen. What do you mean? A registry that my government has created for the benefit of my people, I cannot read. It doesn't compute. Well, here's the unfortunate side that the Canadian government knows is going to happen, because we're not a weak citizenry. And they know this about us. We're not a dumbed down citizenry, nowhere near as much as what we see in other countries. We're not weak, we're not afraid, and we do love with all of our hearts. These kinds of traits in a citizenry is dangerous, because if you release the sexual offenders registry, just about every Canadian male on the block is just going to look at that as a systematic hit list. Sorry, guys. That's why it's not public. Because we live in the kind of country that if I found out who the pedophiles were, I'd be stringing them up. Because I'm not an American, and I'm not going to debate whether or not pedophilia is a form of sexual preference. Okay? We'll let the LGBT community do whatever it is that it wants to do, but I guarantee you the LGBT is not about ready to add the letter P to their community. So, you're not going to sell to me that pedophilia is a form of sexual orientation. Thankfully enough, as much as I would like to string them up, I have a more educated mind behind it. The better part of Canada's scientists and behaviorists and all of these natures would like to have you believe that pedophilia is a medical condition, similar to addictions, like alcoholics and drug addicts, and all these other addictions that are known as diseases. They're stating that pedophilia is a disease. Okay. Now we got something to work with. If it's a disease, that means you have classified it in the medical realm of things. You have not classified it in the judicial realm of things, which means, straight out, you do not make it a crime anymore. You're calling it a disease. Alcoholics don't go to jail unless they fuck shit up, because it's a disease. Okay? Now, if pedophilia is a disease and you've thrown it into the medical realm of things, you know what I love about science and medicine? Is that we normally get to cut shit off if it doesn't work properly. Hey, I didn't say, let's castrate all the pedophiles just because I don't like pedophiles. I said, let us use a medical procedure to help treat this diseased body of our citizenry. So, you guys, unfortunately the country only gets so many choices here. We make the sexual offenders registry public, and in order to appease the Canadian people so that we do not lynch these fucking people, everyone on that registry is gonna, because thank God for free fucking healthcare, right? Probably take a couple days. There's enough hospitals in the entire country. Probably send 5 of those in every hospital, 5 per hospital, and the better part of the registry is probably taken care of. We could even bump it up to 10 if we had to, 50, 100. We got a lot of fucking hospitals in Canada, guys. We have free healthcare. And you know what? Snip really can't cost that much money. Like, I'll fuck it, line them up, I'll do it myself. Just bring me some fucking Valium and ketamine, and then they'll be good. Oh, I know, we shouldn't give them anything, the pain and suffering they cause to their victims. But unfortunately, they've already been to jail and they've paid the price of society. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, it's a disease and we have to be compassionate, right? It's big, guys. It's not something that you just kind of throw around. And the pedo hunters, some of them are probably going to get hurt as it continues because, unfortunately, just like drug dealers and just like car ring thieves and just like everybody else, pedophiles talk to each other. And one of them is going to get fucked up one day and he's going to say what happened. And then they're going to be like, oh, there's new traps out there. And now there's going to be people with guns. And then the pedo is going to become the hunter. He's going to hunt you down and eliminate you and make an example of you so that people don't follow your footsteps. So be very careful when you're approaching these kinds of situations because it's only going to take one bad situation to screw everything. Now, if you want to expose their homes, get their addresses, find their work information, things of that nature, and dox them, of course, dox them and release the information. But those of you who get the information and you choose to act upon it, you best be acting with a particular level of intelligence. Okay? We always used to say, we are the 99%, right? When Anonymous got us all riled up about the government and got us all ready to understand what was happening, and we all started protesting, we all started learning, we started calling ourselves the 99%. There is a secondary form of 1%. A lot of them like to drive motorcycles. What I'm telling you, if you want results, you're gonna need 100% of your population. So you're gonna want the 99%, the protesters, the intelligence, the this, the that, those who can find out what needs to be found. But I've always said, and this is the kind of mission that it may happen on, I've always said, what happens when the 99% actually ask for the help of the 1%? Because those people are the people that are organized. Those people are the people that have guns, that can confront these pieces of trash. You guys are starting to realize now when, where, and why certain clubhouses were allowed in certain cities. Because only certain people know how to appropriately take out the trash. But we can't have that because then the police get upset that they don't do their jobs. But if they did their jobs, we wouldn't have to ask another person to come in and clean up the mess. It's very twisted and nonsensical stuff, but this is the situation as a whole. You have to understand, like, crime isn't just black and white like we would like it to be. It's filled with so many shades of gray, and upon those shades of gray, you have to ask yourself, how much of it do you agree and how much of it do you disagree with? And that's the moral dilemma. And then the moral dilemma is, we don't care about what happens to these pedophiles. But we do care about what happens to the people who are actually trying to expose them. And when something happens to them, a large negative light will be cast upon the entire operation. And once that happens, it'll become something else. Everything has been going like this, right? Sometimes we're up, sometimes we're down. And when you hit the wall, which is what I fear, because that's what's going to happen. This is one of them situations that it won't be an up and down, regain momentum. It'll be smash the wall, and then it'll shatter about, and then all the people have to regroup themselves and say, it was a great idea, implemented in a wrong way. How do we fix it? So, that's the message of the day. That's pedo hunters and Canada creep catchers, and all of these things are amazing advancements because people are starting to become aware, fully aware. And when you say, oh, Anonymous is a terrorist, they're like, no, actually, I remember when they went after all those pedophiles because nobody was doing anything. So they used their computer hacking skills to tear down entire pedo sites. Like, I'm telling you, as long as you understand what you're looking at, you're really happy with what you see. But if you don't understand what you're looking at, it becomes a little bit of, well, which side is right and which side is wrong. Problem is that it's all wrong. There's nothing about this that's right. And that is the problem, guys. There is no right and wrong when we're talking about and looking at these operations and these projects, because the sheer fact that this shit has to exist is wrong. So it can't get right when it's all wrong. All we can do is make sure that the crimes that we commit, that we are prepared to serve the time for them. Because if we're not, then we're going to act differently. We're going to start acting like we don't want to get caught. If you know that you're going to get caught and this is your sentence, act in a manner in which that you do not care if you get caught. That's a hell of a lot scarier, because that's not a criminal doing something and running away with his tail between his legs like a lost puppy. That's a criminal that said, "What? Yeah, I just did that. What you gonna do? Call the police? Fuck, here's my phone, buddy." Because this, I want to see it in court. Because Immoral Technique said it best. They don't want to be in court and fight it because they don't want me to air their laundry. They don't want me in court. Because once you get in court, you get to speak. Once you speak against the establishment in court, it's all written down. Someone somewhere is going to read that transcript and go, "And that motherfucker was right. Now we have to fix the laws according. Look, he wasn't being a fool. He was persecuted under the law of the land of the time." Don't tell me that shit don't happen. Slavery, law of the land of the time. It was wrong. World War II, law of the land of the time. It was wrong. The inability to find out whether or not your neighbor is a fucking pedophile is the law of the land, and at this time it is wrong. And this is why we break the law. Enjoy the rest of the day, guys.